Hello everybody, this is Joe with the Computer Experience, and I'm back playing some more Diablo 3. And yesterday, if you're wondering why there was no video, the reason being is one of my friends, he works in a construction-like environment and managed to slip with a screwdriver, and it stabbed through his hand, and he went to the hospital and stuff like that. He's fine and all, but I had to go visit him and anything like that and see if he was doing well and everything. So I didn't have time for a video at all, and I apologize for that. I also wasn't feeling very good. I got kind of sick yesterday, and it was hard for me to speak. So I guess it was probably a good thing, because when I went and visited him, we didn't have to talk too much and anything. And then when I got back, I started feeling better, and I woke up this morning, I feel great. So all's good. But so what I'm going to show you today is, as you can see, I have a bracers of destruction that are better. In case you were wondering, people probably already know this, but just in case you didn't know this, if you use Kanai's Cube on a specifically leveled item, say like if these are level 30, and I did that and I went into the Reforged Legendary, Law of Cool. If you reforge your Legendary at level 30, it will be level 30 when you reforge it. It will not go up to level 70 or anything. Just in case you want to know, I wanted to test that. I should have just Googled it, somebody probably would have known, but whatever. It happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what you can do with this instead. Basically, you just switch this build that you have now to a Seismic Slam build, and Shattered Ground is the one. The thing is, though, this is the part that I'm a little bit put off on in this. Oh yeah, and real quick too, I'll show you. What I'm using are Strong Arm Bracers for the knockback, 30% more damage. Countess Julia's Cameo, 25% of the damage from Arcane. I have a couple other things in here too that I could use. I mean, Convention of Elements is really good for damage. Ring of Royal Grandeur would be nice if I had other things, but Unity would be the best. I don't have one yet. And then last, I'm using Remorseless, just because it gives me more Ancients, and I can get them pretty quickly. But this time, since I'm not using him in the Ancients, I'm using Seismic Slam. I'm going to switch that out. And it'll probably be Ingam, actually, because I don't really have much else at the time. Sadly enough, my progress bar for Slayer is glitched. Extract 10 legendary powers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 legendaries that I've extracted, and it says 10, and it still hasn't given it to me. But complaining aside, this is the reason why I was sticking with the other build and not Seismic Slam, and you'll see what I mean in a second. We're on Torment 8. I could do 10, but I die rather easily because I'm still spongy. So I go back down to 8 just because then I don't die often, which is nice. But this is what I mean when I say that I prefer the other one. And the reason being, sorry for the initial lag there, that's always happens. As you can see, I do a ton of damage. But the thing is I have to wait for my guys, my Ancients, to do the damage for me, because they're the ones that are giving me my power. They're the ones that are giving my fury to me. If I'm attacking quickly and there's like only a small group of enemies, this build is only really well suited for large groups of enemies. If there's a small group of enemies, then I don't have really... Oops, I didn't mean to click that. There isn't really much for me to attack, or for them to attack. I need them to attack to get my fury back. So as you can see, it's not bad. Like, it works really well. If there's a large group, they do well. They manage to attack enough, especially when one of them whirlwinds. But as you can see now, look, because they're not hitting much, I'm slowly losing fury. And it's like a game of trying to keep up with my team here. Sorry, I forgot to turn that on. It's like a game of trying to keep up with my team there and allow them to do the damage so that I can maintain my fury. If I can't maintain my fury, I can't attack. Simple as that. And as you can see with a small group like this where I'm spearheading the attacks, they're not getting any hits in on anything, and now I'm like to the point where I'm about to run out of fury. So the point I'm trying to make is that it's not that it's a bad build. It's actually a little bit more damaging than the other build, especially in terms of AoE. Like, I can hit up to 5 enemies with the same amount of damage, while with Hammer of the Ancients, I'm only hitting like a couple at a time, like 2 to 3. They both have spectacular burst damage, though. That's the thing. So, as you can tell, though, like, even though I'm saying that I'm getting close to running out of Fury, so far I haven't gotten to a point where I've been starved of it. Which is a good thing. Like, if I'm not starved of Fury, then I can maintain this damage throughout the whole thing. The only problem is, I'll show you in just a second, the next large group. Unlike Hammer of the Ancients with Seismic Slam, you cannot just hold the button down. Like, see, if I go like this, like I want to, it eats up my Fury instantly. I prefer doing that because with Hammer of the Ancients, when you're doing that, you're able to do that as much as you want because you never run out of Fury. And now one thing I hear some of you wondering is, you know, why don't I put on something like Unforgiving that'll allow me to maintain more Fury in the background while I do this? Well, reason being is that I'm trying to maintain damage too. Like, damage is key in a successful high-level build. And that's what I'm trying to do. Is I'm trying to maintain damage, I'm trying to maintain survivability, and keep those two in balance to the other side. Like, as you can tell, being T8, it doesn't seem like it's that difficult. Like, this seems like a very, very simplistic level for the damage that I can output, which is true. Like, these are not very difficult at all. The reason being, though, is just because of the sheer amount of damage I can output. You'll see on some of these hits that I do, when I have all of my stuff set up and I'm actually using everything, not forgetting stuff like an idiot, you'll see billions of damage. And that's... Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting. I haven't been playing this in a couple of days just because of all the other stuff that's been going on. But I forgot, too, I have a focus and restraint, so I do need to do Furious Charge to maintain my focus and restraint. And you'll see when I have focus and restraint up and Wrath of the Berserker going, I can do billions in damage. So there's not many things in terms of trash mobs, even up to T10 almost, that has a billion health, and if they do, it's like 1.3 or something like that. So I can almost one-shot every trash mob. When it comes to elite packs, that's not as much so because they have couples of billions of health, but I can still kill them in a couple hits. So you saw on that floor, actually I'll do it this way. You saw on that floor how well this went. But how kind of slow I had to go. Just due to the fact that if I went quick, I would run out. Oh, come on. Go away. I gotta go to the last floor so I can change it out. I thought I could do it before I could get there. But yeah, so now I just want to show you if I switch to Smash and I'm using back like this. You've already seen this build, but as you can see just by comparison, I can hold down the mouse and just hold down shift whenever I get near anything, and as fast as I want to hit is the much damage as I want to do. But as you can see now, already I've already had a heal. Just because since they have Orbiter, I had to get close to them. And when you have to get closer to your enemies, they do a lot more damage, because melee builds are really powerful. But if any of you have played melee builds, you know for a fact the closer you get to something, the more damage they do to you as you do to them. The good news, though, is with Hammer of the Ancients, I maintain a Wrath of the Berserker almost infinitely. It's because if I can get a large group of enemies like this... Oh, jeez, I'm going to die. Woo! If I can get a large group of enemies like this, with this good of density, then I'd never have to not swing my weapon. And every time I hit, I get 3 seconds off the cooldown, so... So there you go. Like, okay, to make this test a little bit more viable, though, as you saw, I switched. These are completely different enemies, completely different density. So we'll switch back to this one more time again. We'll put on Wrath of the Berserker. We'll do this. So you can see I'm doing almost the exact same amount of damage. There's 1.2 billion there. There was 1 billion. When I was using Hammer of the Ancients, I was doing about 1 billion to certain enemies. So there you go. Right there, 1.5 billion. And see if I'm getting hurt and stuff, I can back away and just shoot from a distance. And the range of Seismic Slam is much better than the range of Hammer of the Ancients. So basically, you're wondering, so why am I showing this? I'm just showing the comparison between Hammer of the Ancients and Seismic Slam, and how both builds using these setups and anything can be good in their own regard, and if you're wanting to pick between one of the two. And what I wanted to do in showing this off to, what I want to do is I want to get better at using this build, because I actually kind of prefer, it's weird, I prefer the distance and range that this build provides, but I much prefer the speed of the other build. So like the other build, if it's a low density or high density, it does not matter, I never run out of Fury. This build obviously is much better suited towards large grouping like this. Like as you can tell, when there's a large group, I barely run out of Fury as well either. So it's really good. But if I get into a small group where there's only like 2 or 3 enemies to hit, then this build does suffer a bit in terms of starvation. But when I talk about starvation, though, you can still tell. Well, I mean, that's not really well explained, seeing is that I still haven't run out of Fury even with low groups. And I can still attack rather quickly. And again, single targets like this, as you can see, I can maintain Fury no problem against something like a Rift Guardian, because the Rift Guardian is being targeted by all of my guys at once. All 3 of them will attack him at the exact same time. And because all 3 of them are attacking at the exact same time, they will give me just enough Fury to maintain. So there you go. I guess the basic premise for this is that you just want to make sure that you get the weapon that this is to maintain that reduce the Fury cost. 48% is what allows me to maintain it really well. If I got one of the lower scale ones, I'd probably have to wait to get a new Fury of the Vanished Peak, because I probably wouldn't be able to maintain enough Fury to maintain the leveling. So as you can see, there was a Torment 8. I switched between the 2 different builds, and you can see that they were almost physically identical in terms of damage for me. 1.5 billion was one of the highest. The highest that I got on the other one was like 1.3 or 4. But I've seen that one get up to 1.5 as well. It's just, if you get the right critical, that's just how it goes. So, being slightly biased, like I said, in one side and the other side, would I pick one over the other? Honestly, because I got both around the same time, I just choose whichever one I feel like doing at the time. But say like if you got Fear of the Vanished Peak and then the Bracers of Destruction, I would say go for it. I'd say go for this build just due to the fact that if you got better Bracers of Destruction and you got 400% instead of 351, I honestly believe that this weapon would do more damage than these two put together. The only thing is that this increases Hammer of the Ancients damage to 40% instead of 30 as max, and this can go to 200%. So I think that the way they built this is that if I got max on all of these sets, like this gives me the max damage and 50%, and this gives me 400%, and then this would give me 200, I think, yeah, and then this one was giving me 40% and returns 25 Fury, even though that doesn't really matter. I think that they both do still physically identical damage. So it really just depends on your playstyle. If you like doing the distance, I can't show you. If you like doing the distance shots like that, go for that. Because the maintaining of your Fury is not too difficult, as you saw. Like you do feel like you're going to run out or starve of it, but so long as you keep getting into large packs and not focus down single targets, these guys will do the work for you, and they'll maintain it for you, so long as you get these shoulders. Now the other thing you're asking me is, well, Kurt, I've seen people on leaderboards or on different builds not using Fury of the Vanished Peak whatsoever. Instead, they're throwing in the Mortal King's Boulder Breaker, and then they switched out the pauldrons and the shoulders, pauldrons, same thing, and then the gloves. They switched those out for 2 piece of the waist build. So this piece and then the shoulders, which I don't have yet for some reason. I guess I haven't been looking for them. So they'll switch out for those. What that does is it gives you rend damage to 500% and the duration to 15 seconds. Now, you're wondering why people would do that if this is giving so much damage, and if you're using Seismic Slam, you wouldn't maintain it as long. The build that people are making with that is just as good, because instead of having to use something like Furious Charge with Merciless Assault, you'd have Rend and then Seismic Slam on your primary and secondary. You would maintain your Wrath of the Berserker, due to the fact that your Wrath of the Berserker is dropping 3 seconds for every 10 Fury you spend with an attack. Now, I think, I'm not definite, but I think because you'd be using your Seismic Slam, 30 Fury, this reduces it to 15 almost, 16 about. If it's 30 Fury on its own, though, that means I'm pretty sure you get 9 seconds off every time you use Seismic Slam. I'm pretty sure. I have to test that, though. We'll test that real quick. Let's test that with this. And then Rend. We'll just do that. We don't really need... Oh, no, it actually costs Fury as well. Never mind, I apologize. I thought that was a generator. But yeah, okay, so that makes even more sense. So if they're using Rend, and it costs 20 Fury, and then you're using Seismic Slam, it costs Fury, and then you're kind of in this position where you're trying to figure out how to do your Fury generation. Basically, in switching those two things and going to that, you're still going to get your damage from using these sets, and you're still more than likely going to be getting... Oh yeah, I needed to test that still. You're still more than likely going to be getting 9 seconds off if you're using something else that uses 30 Fury per hit, you know what I mean? So like if you just had... Yeah, 6. We'll just do this. So if you had this going and like you're just generating Fury, blah, 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 and you hit with Seismic Slam, it does 30 damage, or 30 Fury. You're gaining 9 seconds back instead of the 3 that I'd be getting every time I hit, which is a really good thing. On top of that, you're using something like Rend, which would do 500% extra damage. So with this build, with the shoulders and the gloves putting on there, you're going to be doing 500% of that instead of the original whatever percentage. So you're getting 500% more damage and the increase of the bleeding effect to 15 seconds. The one thing I don't get with that, like I'm saying then, because I just figured that out now because I'm being silly, is that... I'll leave this in. Is the only issue dealing with that is that I'm not really sure how people maintain their Fury that way. So it is a little bit of a double-edged sword. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to try to get the Boulder Breaker, and I'm going to try to get the shoulder pieces as soon as I can, and then I'll show you guys like how it goes. I'll figure out how that works. Because basically what I'm doing with these is I'm telling you my experience of what I think between these two things on this build, and then I'm trying out the new stuff that I see people doing and getting really high up on the leaderboards with. And there's probably more like people that have already made straight up builds on YouTube, of course, but I'm doing it as experimentation and showing you guys my results. But so just to end this off, what we're going to do is a level 40 Torment 9 with the Fury of the Vanished Peak and the Bracers of Destruction. I've already beaten Torment or level 40 with these two in tow. I took a lot of damage, but it wasn't hard. So I just want to show you proof of concept. Like you see me doing T8 pretty damn easily, but I want to show you that you can actually maintain the trials just fine. So as you can see though, like right now I'm Fury starved just because like I started and they're not doing a lot of damage to stuff. So basically what you have to do is kind of walk around, do some slow attacks back and forth, and just kind of wander around, wait for your that to charge. Not the cooldown for your yell to cooldown, so then you can actually get your 40 Fury out of that. So now as you can see, now that they're actually doing a little bit more, my Fury is almost full. I could bring it up that. By the way, that's also at 112, in case you're curious. But yeah, if you keep using Warcry, this one here, and getting the Fury generation off of that, you can maintain Fury pretty okay that way as well. And last but not least, you have to remember, because I keep forgetting, you have to remember to use Furious Charge. Furious Charge gives you massive boost to your damage if you're using Restraint and Focus. Sorry, I couldn't remember the name for it for a second there. So as you can tell right now, it is going pretty slow, and I'm not doing enough to actually beat this with flying colors. And like I said, this build for sure, compared to my Bracers of Destruction, is much slower in terms of clearing. The reason being is because I can't just stand there like this and do this. Because as soon as I start killing, see, now it's going down, 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 down. And it disappears quickly. I get my cooldowns back rather fast, but I can't maintain that amount of damage because now, see, I get Fury Starved, and I have to go really slow. The good news, though, is that unlike in other games or anything like that, when you have followers like this, like in my case with all my idiot, and I mean idiot lovingly, my idiot ancients like that, instead of them getting broken, like they do in other games with followers, they just teleport to you whenever you get farther back. Which is very nice. Because they teleport, then they can actually do attacks as soon as they teleport to you. Which means that you're getting your Fury generation quick. So in case you're about where I am, where like you've gotten a lot of good pieces and you're getting like the nice meta builds now, best in slot stuff, and you finally got your build set up to where you can actually do T6 or better, and you're trying to do greater rifts, I'm just trying to show you that this is what you can expect for a a Torment 9 greater rift level 40 equivalent Greater Rift. So this is what you can expect in terms of speed on it. As you can tell, I'm not blowing through it. I'm not like destroying the time or anything like that to where it seems like I could do better or anything. The reason being is that if I really wanted to hurry, I'd have to do something like this, where I would just spam the crap out of the button. And because they're in the middle of the pile for me like that, I can do this now. Because they're doing enough damage to all the enemies around them that they're maintaining my Fury for me with the shoulder pieces that I have. So that just gave me a massive boost in time. So the major point that I'm going to say, so like if we were making major points of the differences between this and the other, the major difference between this and using the other bracers and the other hammer is that this build requires density. Hammer the Ancients build does not require density whatsoever. It actually relies more on you taking out trash mobs, essentially. Well, this one's good at taking out trash mobs as well, but it requires density, and it requires your team to actually do some damage for you so they can maintain your Fury for you. As you can see in the times of, you know, where the fighting hits a low point, the war cry actually allows me to maintain some Fury in a pretty good way too, like when I'm moving from area to area, which is nice. The only difference though is with the other bracers and the other hammer, the Gavel of Judgment, that one does not rely on that kind of stuff at all. You can just kind of hold down the button and go as quick as you can. I don't want to blow up. But as you can see, there's a pretty good way that you can maintain doing as fast an attack as you can. If you can leave some of the trash mobs that your Ancients can't do much damage to, if you leave them behind you while you go and maintain the attack on the larger groups or on the elite packs, they'll just keep attacking them and you keep maintaining your Fury that way, which is a pretty good idea. That's a really good strategy if you want to maintain this. The other big thing, the second big bullet point that I want to point out though is that because you can't attack infinitely with this, you can see that my cooldown for Wrath of the Berserker does not come back fast. So I'm kind of stuck attacking and at the mercy of the enemies until I can get my Wrath of the Berserker back up, because that's what gives me the majority of my damage. And yes, if that's the other thing you're wondering with Wrath of the Berserker, why I'm using the damaging rune, the 50% more damage rune, it's because of this, because it actually gives me enough damage to do about 1 billion a tick if I have everything up and going. While if I have the other one that gives me damage mitigation, it doesn't give me as great of a spike in power, so I can't really clear as quick or as easily. I would survive better, yes, but it's not really worth it. Now, the other thing you're probably wondering is, with Call of the Ancients, what I'm using on that. I switched that finally over to the damage mitigation rune. What is it called again? I can't remember. Together as one. The reason being for that is because if you have your Ancients doing damage, and of course the damage rune that you can give them is luckily fire, the fire damage rune. So they would be getting a nice bonus from the bracers you'd be wearing, because you might be doing a fire build. The problem is that they peter off around like Greater Rift 20 or so, 20, 25, maybe even 30, where their damage becomes not helpful at all anymore. So instead, if you switch them when you're up this high, if you switch them over so then they just give you damage mitigation split evenly between them, that's a better thing because then they still don't die because they're very, very tanky compared to you. Which is a very good thing. So you still get that damage mitigation, but then you don't have to rely on Wrath of the Berserker to give you damage mitigation as well. You mainly rely on your buddies there and your own resistances to give you the advantage over your enemies. The other thing you're wondering too is if I'm using Rampage, and also I don't remember if I showed you guys, but the Hellstone amulet, the Hellfire amulet. I haven't been playing Minecraft in a long time. I don't know why I even said that. But yeah, if you're wondering what the Hellfire amulet, what mine does, mine has Bloodthirst, so which is a really good thing. Anytime that I spend Fury, I gain life equal to blah blah blah. You know what that does. So that's really good for a build like this because it allows me to maintain my health really well because I'm always spending Fury, which is a good thing. Oh, the other thing too is, if you noticed right there too, if I die on either of these builds, because the Call of the Ancients cools down so quick, and cooling down Wrath of the Berserker just is me having to waste Fury, it's not really a big deal when you die. That's the other reason why doing Greater Rifts with these builds is so pleasant, is because that you can do that kind of stuff and not worry about it. You don't have to worry about dying and all, because if you die, you can just bring up all your stuff again really quick. The other thing, though, that's also negative about that, though, is if you get complacent and die repeatedly in one level over and over again, then you will have 30 seconds to wait, and which does neuter your speed through the Greater Rift no matter what you do. So you still don't want to die constantly, but if you die once or twice in a Greater Rift as this build, it's not a big deal. If you did try to do a build like this for something like Hardcore, I think it'd be a really feasible build. I think that it would almost be guaranteed that you'd want to use this build, Fury of the Vantage Peak, over the Diablo Judgment, just because you can maintain distance, and your Ancients are the ones that are going to maintain aggro for the most part. So if you wanted to do something like this and say a hardcore build, I'm pretty sure you could probably get away with this, as long as you play it safe the whole time until you get the 6-piece, and are able to keep your Ancients up and maintain your damage from a distance as such. If you can get to this point without dying and then do that, I think that this would be a really good build for a hardcore character. The only problem is I'm too friggin' lazy to actually maintain making a hardcore character and keeping him alive, because I'd be too scared to play him if I ever got to T6 or higher. So you probably won't ever see a hardcore build from me, but I can see it would be viable, that's for sure. So as you can tell, like, I'm not having issues staying ahead of the time. The issue that I'm having is maintaining the speed. The thing is, though, is that since, like, Season 1, the start of Season 2, actually, they have managed to fix most of the issues with Greater Rifts to the point where it's really good now, where the higher the Greater Rifts you go, the more density you get anyway. It almost seems proportional now, which is what's needed. So it seems like this build over the Diablo Judgment build, the reason why you'd want to go over this build over that is mainly because density is not an issue in the higher Greater Rifts. This, to me, this build feels like it's supposed to be for Greater Rifts that are very, very high in level. This doesn't feel like it's going to be a build for you if you're just doing, you know, like T5 or like Greater Rifts of 25 or something, because it just feels like you're gonna starve yourself of Fury every time you do it. While you're up at 40 like this, I'm not really watching my Fury bar at all. I'm just attacking and moving just to stay out of the way of the damage, because like the Winged Assassins and stuff deal a lot of damage to me. I don't have a lot of resistances against them now. I know what I'm weak against, so that's the reason why I'm kind of trying to maintain. But I have a feeling that if you went to, say, like Greater Rift 45 or 50 even, with a build like this, that's much more stabilized than mine. Mine's not anywhere near complete yet, because I still have crap armor and everything. But if you had like a fully fledged out, you know, couple Ancients, all of them have like the max stats they can have, I feel like that this would be really good for a T50, and you could probably maintain really easily. So as you can see now, because he's doing that, look, they're maintaining enough attack on him where I almost don't run into Fury for a while. Especially, like I said, if you see one of the guys start whirlwinding for a little while, they do pretty good. The problem is, as you can tell now, though, I am starving myself of Fury just a little bit, but because these guys are showing up, I'll do a little bit better. I keep forgetting to use Furious Charge as well. That's the other thing. If you don't Furious Charge, you don't do damage. But there you go. I killed the boss in, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds. That wasn't too bad. And that was a T40, easily done. I didn't beat my other time by a long shot. Using the other build was much quicker. But like I said, I think that this one is suitable for when you get higher and higher up. While I feel the Gavel of Judgment build, I feel this would peter off after a certain point. While I think this one will get better and better as you go. I don't care. Jesus Christ. Oh, the other thing too, I keep forgetting to say, I obviously don't even have most of my gems till anything higher than 25. They're all level 25 about, except for the Taiga here, it's only level 22. But, oh, okay, why was I doing damage? I guess I was lower on damage than Chance right now. But yeah, so there you go. You guys have already seen pretty close to the same thing, like 30-something, when I was showing you the Gavel of Judgment and doing that great. No, I think I showed... I don't remember what I showed with the Gavel of Judgment. But there you go with the Fear the Vanished Peak, that build. As you can see, that one easily and simply cleared a T40. And I only died twice due to my own stupidity. One, I was standing in a bomb. The second one was a Winged Assassin. They do a lot of damage to me, so... I've gotten like 5 Lyrics crowns by now. We're going to salvage that one, and I think this one I can use to break down in the Kyanai's Cube. So I'm keeping... This is my Kyanai's Cube box. I don't know about this one, but most of these can be broken down except for these ones. But these ones I'm keeping for when I do Demon Hunter. But the rest of it can be broken down in Kyanai's Cube, and I'm keeping it because I want to do every Legendary eventually, and it takes a while to get them all, so I just collect them. But last but not least, like most of my videos, when they end, I go to Kadala and get mad at her for not giving me what I need. What I need are shoulders. I need the other shoulders, so we're going to go ahead and try for the set shoulders that I need. Sorry, I was reading the... Nope. We got only 2 legendaries out of it, nothing good. Good news, though, is Kyanai's Cube allows you to reroll shoulders, so you could go and build a shoulder piece that you want, and then roll on Kyanai's Cube, and you have a really good chance of getting what you want. So if you don't want to gamble with Kadala, you can do that. But either way, guys, this will do it for this episode. It's a little bit longer than my last one, but it's just to show to you that between these 2 builds, so we're going to finalize it with this. Between these 2 builds, if I was doing something like just a quick lower rift, or like I was helping a buddy level, I would do this because I can go through it quick. I can maintain it. I don't have to even look at the screen. I could just like listen to music and talk and not even pay attention to what I'm doing. If I'm trying to go for the highest I can do, I'm going to be doing the Fear the Vanished Peak and the bracers. Reason being is because they can maintain distance. I don't have to worry about survivability as much. I only have to worry about them getting in the battle and getting my Fury back for me. And then last but not least, like I said, if you're going to go for the other build, which uses Immortal King's Boulder Breaker, it uses the waist gloves and the waist pauldrons, the waist shoulders, for the rend damage and stuff, that's what I would switch it to. Simply, I would switch to that and anything when I get them, just to test them out and then show you guys the next time like how that build works, because that doesn't seem to have any Fury generation whatsoever. So how do you maintain Fury in that way? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out when I get to it. There's probably something that I'm missing. Maybe the Boulder Breaker gives you some sort of Fury generation as a secondary or something. I don't know. But as soon as I get those pieces, I'll find out. I'll make a video of it, and I'll show you guys. Seeing as I'm just showing you how I play this game, essentially, and how I go through it. But the other thing you can expect sometime soon after I get that and kind of finalize this is I am going to switch over to a Crusader, because the new Crusader build, so I've heard, I haven't seen anything about it, is that the Crusader build uses Justice Hammers, and Justice Hammers are one of my favorite attacks from the Crusader, and they never were buffed enough to be worth anything, so I never could use them in a build, but now you can. So I'm going to definitely get on him soon and start building him up, and maybe get him to level 70 tonight or something, and start that build soon to show you guys. So either way, blathering aside, taking your time, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't like it, you can dislike it as well, and share to your friends, because that helps me a lot when other people are watching my videos. Either way, though, thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you soon. Have a good weekend, and be safe on Monday, since it's all the holiday, and everything. So be safe, everybody. If you're going to drink, stay home. Have a good one, and talk to you guys soon.